A continuous thing that I often see when people are working out at the gym is they continually use the machines to structure the workout program, whether they're working out individually or with the trainer. Now, coming from a physical therapy standpoint, I want to give you both the pros and the cons so you have a little bit better game plan when it comes to structuring your workout, but also to get the results you're looking for and from an injury prevention standpoint. Let's start with the pros. So, pros of machine workouts. Everything is set up for you. You don't have to think about it for the most part. A lot of machines will say on there, you know, exactly what to do, how to do it. And if you just kind of use common sense, when you sit on it or stand, depending on the machine itself, you just go through the motion. So when we're looking at the machines in general, that can be great because it, and depending on the seat or the standing position, you can just push or pull, again, depending on the actual workout you're trying to achieve, and you're keeping a certain form based off the program or whatever the structure is of that machine of the result that you're looking for when it comes to that muscle group, or maybe it's a stretch. So again, there's some variety with these machines on how they're set up, what the purpose is for. So we don't have to think about it. That's always a win for a lot of people, is when they go to the gym, they want something as far as, I want the accountability, I want to be told. This gives me a little bit of independence, but also gives me some structure when I'm going through the actual movement to make sure that I'm doing it right. So from an injury prevention standpoint, that does make sense. A lot of times too, it actually gives you a good position to either go through the push when you're actually trying to strengthen a muscle, but also the stretch when you're trying to elongate the muscle and get more of a stretch, not just at the muscles, but the joints. So when we're thinking a little bit broader, there's a lot of great things about using weights and machines, because we can actually use it to facilitate a guided force controllably to open these joints and those muscles up. So again, it allows us to get in certain positions that would probably be a lot harder for us to do individually if we're just using body weight or maybe dumbbells or even bands. So that's where an aspect of it comes into play. We can also tend to go a little bit heavier with weights and isolate certain muscle groups, because the position we're in, we get those bigger muscle groups and then go in there and really can do either the push or the pull, again, depending on the exercise that you're looking at and how to actually get that strength gain when we're actually wanting to improve our overall functional performance. So pros, there's probably a lot more to that, but you know, I just want to highlight, you know, some of the main ones that you're looking at when we ever go in there to structure the actual workout and the use of the gyms. Now, I want to shift into the cons, but only because of how we want that variety, and also how to look at it from a different view, so that when you go in there, you utilize both of them and also can get the results you want a lot faster. Now, the cons are we are stuck in that position. So it's not a one size fits all, meaning our bodies have different sizes, whether it's our height, width, just in general. So if you're either sitting or standing on a certain machine and you don't get it set to the right position, or the seat is not adjusted to your fit, then you are forcing a certain area, causing more force on certain joints or muscles, thus probably more pain. So again, that just kind of playing the game of, are you warmed up or are you in the right position? Start with lightweight, go through it, and again, go through the motion, making sure you're not causing more pain or discomfort to that area. You know, it's not always that you're going to get injured working on machines, but at the end of the day, you are going through the same motions for the most part. We want more variety, so we want to hit those 3 planes motion. Most machines are set up in the sagittal plane, front to back, push or pull. So if we don't have that side-to-side movement or that rotational, we're limiting actually 2 other main planes of the body. Thus, we're never fully open up those joints or contracting, relaxing, stretching the muscle groups in different dynamic ranges. Going to that point, we are functional, we are dynamic. Even if you're not an athlete or feel like you're super mobile when it comes to activity in life, if you're just doing machines all the time, as great as it is at getting strength gains in certain areas, those aren't the only movements you do throughout your life. Let's just say you're going to go bend over and pick something up off the ground, your gym bag. Well, how does that relate to the machine that you were just sitting on or laying on? So you have to, again, think a little bit more functionality, as saying we don't have to go in there and be super strong in every single movement we do, but we want the body to be able to adapt, to be able to move. So again, from an injury prevention standpoint, or just ease of movement without discomfort and constant wear and tear on these muscles or joints, thus pain and stiffness that people are starting to feel over a period of time with pain and inflammation, we're in a better position to get our body adapted by doing free body weight, free movements, as far as whether it's dumbbells, getting body weight, or just in general the bands. So there's a little bit more variety we can have if we're not stuck to the machine mindset of just the front to back. We add in that side to side, which some machines have that, and also some have that rotational. But when you think about it, treadmills, bench press, squat, seated calf raise, your lat pull down, your row machine, your presses. Now, cable machine is one that I do like because it's got a lot more variety that I can add in there when I'm doing some dynamic stuff and adding some diagonal patterns in there. So you want to maybe think about that as far as how can you strategically use both when you're trying to vary up the actual motion that you're going through. So, you know, there's both a lot of pros and cons to each one depending on how you're looking at it and structuring it. But if we get too fixated on one area and we're just trying to isolate one certain muscle group, we're not going to really either stretch or strengthen that muscle group and or move that joint from those other three planes of motion. Thus, we don't fully connect with your nervous system or utilize what our body is capable of doing, so we get imbalanced. So as great as the machines are, you also want to look at it from the flip side of how can I add that variety in there, again, whether it's through body weight, cable machine, or just in general bands to get a little bit more movement, flexibility, but just also be more dynamic with our movement. So we're going to be looking at it from how do you get the result. Again, some people are in it for lean muscle mass. Some people want to get bulked up. Some people want to go in there and lose weight. Everyone has a different agenda and a different result. This is where you can start to play the game with machines as far as the strength goes, or just in general your position, because it does give you some more accountability. It does give us some of the abilities to actually open these joints up, be more flexible, get a better compression or push or pull. So we have to look at it from that standpoint, but we also want to know that there's a variety. So from an injury prevention standpoint, we're not going in there and constantly doing the same planes of motion, hitting those muscle groups always at that same range. Thus, that's where people get a lot of consistent injuries. So again, it's just being a little bit more creative with it. Whether you're working with a trainer or you're doing this yourself, there's always ways to maybe look around in the gym or ask other people if you're not quite sure, or even ask the trainer to add a little bit more variety into your workout if you feel like you're always just doing the machines. But this way, I feel like you're going to get a way better approach when it comes to getting the result. Also, let's just think outside the box, because a lot of times we get superficial when it comes to looking at how we get that result, whether it's the weight loss, whether it's the lean muscle mass, how we look, how we feel, is thinking too much about, oh, I'm just going to go work out, or I'm just going to go eat healthy. That's a great step, and that's a start. But as you start to move further in your journey, you want to be more intentional of actually how the body works. So when we start to realize the power of the body, there's a lot of things that we can start to do where we play with the nervous system for like your sympathetic versus parasympathetic to get things activated or deactivated. So if I'm really stiff and trying to open up, I want to do some parasympathetic stuff. That can involve that rotational component that we may not be getting with machines, but it's also just in general going through movements. So a lot of times the machines, because we're doing so much weight and tension, we're kicking our sympathetic in more. So we're actually activating those muscles more. Again, depending on what the goal is of that workout, we're keeping things tightened up so things don't quite open up like we want it to. So that's where you can start to play the game with maybe classes, maybe mobility movements, exercises, yoga, or just different things that maybe Pilates, something that's going to take you through some different ranges of motion that you aren't used to. So be open to trying different things, but also structure it where it's different throughout the week. Because again, it's something that if we do this daily, meaning we're doing the same thing over and over and over, that's where our body tends to get into that position of where we feel like it's harder to adapt or to move into a whole nother level of what we're looking for. It's also great because when you're more mobile, meaning you can move better, you can connect your joints easier, they line up better, they connect with the joint receptors, things activate, thus you have more power and more strength. But another key power play that I always feel like is great with movement and just in general, you don't have to be super aggressive with this, is it's a great detoxer. Our lymphatic system is passive. So again, if we're not up moving around, which walking and stuff is going to get us moving, or just physical activity throughout the day. But if you really want to play the long game for health and longevity, mobility is key, because as you're detoxing the body at different layers of your body, again, going back to that whole superficial, just working out nutrition, we want to go a little bit deeper. We want to say, okay, well, at what layer am I actually getting that body opened up? Not just the top layer, because a lot of times we just think about, I'm going to go do an exercise for a muscle group. No, think about it too for the joint. If you know the main joints, ankles, knees, hips, rib cage, which a lot of people don't focus on, shoulders, neck, then you can start to structure mobility, your movement, based off of these main movement patterns. You can start to restore a lot when it comes to strength, your ability to be dynamic as far as flexibility, but also in general power, because now you're bringing in your nervous system, a lot more muscle groups that you may not be thinking about it at a deeper level. But from a detox standpoint, this is the key. This is the key to the weight loss. This is the key to you feeling better energy-wise, you sleeping better. So take all the top symptoms that people are actually suffering from, signs and symptoms, to all of a sudden they're on medications or just end up having an inability to live the life they want to live, then they require the medications and the drugs. These are little power plays that you start to understand from a deeper level of how the body works. And you, by doing some simple mobility movement stuff, can open up the body, get it detoxed at a deeper layer, and also get blood flow, nutrients to stuff that you may be eating that's healthy, actually get into where it needs to be in the body. So again, there's more to it than just thinking of going to the gym and just showing up. Now that's the biggest part there, to getting there, sort of. But you want to go through, a little bit more, meaning you want to get more intentional. So you start to learn more about your body. You start to learn what's possible, what you're capable of, and that's where the power play comes in. So again, if you're wanting to live that active lifestyle, which I assume you are if you're still watching the video, then you're really trying to plug into what can you do from a functionality standpoint to keep your body moving, to keep those muscles lined up so you can get that good strength, but also from an injury prevention standpoint. Because again, You want to be in it for the long haul. When it comes to health and longevity, it's really just understanding more mechanics of the body. From a basis standpoint, from the unlocked move system that we follow, it's understanding movement of the body, your main joints, how to restore those main movement patterns. Then you can look at your performance part, how to actually go in there and really get the most out of these muscle groups as far as from an energy standpoint, get more energy, but also train for that specific activity. It may not be a sport, maybe it is. Maybe if it's a high intensity sport, maybe it's a high intensity job. Then you want to know, like, okay, there's different muscle groups that you may be training more for quick movements or maybe for endurance. And that's where you can start to think and also strategically plan your workouts for not just the activity for that day or the sport you're doing, but also for the work, the lifestyle that you're living, so that I'm doing a lot more endurance type thing, or maybe you have a high intensity job and you're doing a lot of quick thinking. There's a lot of crossover in our actual mental and physical well-being. So again, starting to think outside the box, connecting the dots and see these patterns, these concepts, everything, how it relates and how it connects to not only just improve the way you feel, but how you perform and live your life when it comes to your overall human function and performance.